Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to day 5 of Rebirth Breathwork. Mm. Today's topic is speaking your truth, and is especially in relationships. And wow, today was such a profound, deep day in the process I've had when before I went in to do my breath work. I told my teachers and the person that was supporting me, I was like, I really want to go deep today. So please be in my ass if I'm not breathing to make sure I'm gonna go deep. I was just feeling it. It's time to really get to the root cause of some things. And after I was in the process for a little bit, this is what came up. And oh my God, like I really got to the root cause that I want to share with you, because I know this is going to help so many people to realize, why do we have a hard time speaking our truth? Hello, Sean. Why do we have a hard time speaking our truth with other people, and especially with the loved ones, especially in relationships? And while I was breathing, the moment I had this realization, I broke up. I just started sobbing and crying like a baby, because I used to have this pattern, and I'm still seeing, I'm much more aware of how it's showing up in my relationships. But this pattern of having a hard time, for example, breaking up with boyfriends. Anyone there? um, Sharing some really like hard things that it might hurt the other person. And what came up today was that the reason why I've been having a hard time speaking fully my truth and being grounded in it and be like, no, this is how I feel, this is what I want, this is what I desire, it was because underneath that, I had the fear of, if I'm gonna speak my truth and if I'm gonna share that, they're not gonna love me anymore. They're not gonna accept me anymore, and they're not gonna be in my life. So I had this fear of of not being loved. And I think so many people, so many of us, we deal with this, and then what we end up doing, it's compromising on our happiness in order to make someone else happy, quote unquote, because you cannot make someone else happy, especially if you are not happy. And then it was shown to me how I valued more to be loved than to speak my truth. And we always act in accordance with what we value more, with what we feel that is more important in our life. And it was this big aha moment where I've realized that, wow, my whole life I have been taking responsibility for how other people feel. And I'm here like an overachiever, a people pleaser in recovery, like all of the things. And I lived my life just taking responsibility for other people's happiness. And then I was able to see this pattern today, and I was like, whoa, I don't want to speak my truth because I do not want to hurt the other person. So what we end up doing in that moment, we are not true to ourselves, we are not true to other person. Hello, my beautiful friend. We are not true to the other person, and then we live this fake life, this fake relationship, because it's just, you cannot be fully yourself if you don't allow it to just share exactly how you feel, and know that when you like fully express from the bottom of your heart how you feel in a very conscious way, because I do agree the way you communicate it is your responsibility. So it's important to have some techniques and some ways for you to communicate where you take responsibility for that, but then you cannot take responsibility, or you should not, or it's not okay to take responsibility for how is received, because that's not in your control anymore. If you know you've done your best, you came from your heart, you communicated in a conscious way, then the way it's perceived and the way the other person is going to react, that's where their work comes in. And you cannot, and listen this very, very well, because it's a very big point in today's subject. You cannot take responsibility and heal and feel the emotions for the other person. That's their work. Can you feel that? And this also takes me to the fact that so many times we want to protect people, from like getting hurt. But in fact, what we do, we believe they are not strong enough to handle it. Whatever it is that you want to share, whatever is your truth, that it might hurt someone in the moment, but on the long run, probably that's exactly what they needed for their growth. Probably that's exactly why you met. And then when you approach every person and every experience and every situation as, okay, no matter what, they are strong enough to take it, even though it's harsh, even though it's hard, even though it's uncomfortable. Even for me to speak it out, to share it, it's like, it feels like scary. It feels so scary to be honest, to be truthful, to be vulnerable. Because what's happening when we are truthful and when we are speaking our truth, you actually open your heart and you share, hey, this is who I am. And this is how I truly feel. And I'm sorry it might not match what you would like me to feel or how you would like me to show up in this moment. But this is who I am, and I cannot do more than this in this very moment. Can you feel that? And then if the other person is conscious as well, they're gonna come and they're gonna be like, wow, thank you so much for speaking your truth, because that matters so much for me than living in a lie, or than pretending, or than covering things up. Because we want to have these deep connections. No, we want to have deep connections with people, with our partners, with our family. But if we don't speak our truth, if we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, and saying it and sharing it, scary, knowing that they might not love me anymore. They might reject me after this. But doing it anyway, that's when you actually go and create with those people that are meant to be in your life, that are meant to stay on your path. That's when you create those deep intimacy and connection. And for those that are not going to understand, you just say thank you, and thank you for showing me that you are just not able to hold my truth. And then you let them go, because that is just going to show you who's meant to be or not in your life, and it's going to filter so many people in your life. So you're gonna have so much more space actually for those that want to hear you, that want to see you. And I know there might not be many, especially when you start on this journey, because it's scary. Like this, as I was sharing, this is exactly what came up for me today. I was like, whoa, I've been living with this fear that if I fully speak my truth, I'm not going to be loved anymore. I'm going to be rejected and I will be alone. And I know exactly where this belief comes from. And it started like since I was, as the majority of the things, they start in childhood. And I had this memory coming up with my dad where once I just told him, I do not want to iron your shirt right now, we're gonna do it when we get to that wedding. And I was, I think, 14 or 15 years old, and he was like, no, like, you have to do it now. And I was like, no, it makes no sense to do it now because we're gonna travel and it's not gonna be okay, so I'm just gonna do it there. And he said no, and then he left me home and he went to the wedding by himself because I didn't want to do what he told me to do in that moment. And I defeated him and I spoke my truth. So that was one of the many incidents that took me then on this journey of it's not okay to fully share who I am or what I truly want, desire, and need, because then I'll be left at home. I'll be abandoned. And then subconsciously we go through life and we live with these fears that don't allow us and don't give us the full freedom to just be our raw, authentic, vulnerable, truthful human beings that we are here to be and connect at a soul level with those around us. So the takeaway that I truly want to invite you to take from today is to remember that it's not your responsibility how other people take your truth. Your responsibility is how you communicate it, and that's are so many tools that you can learn how to communicate in a beautiful and conscious way where you take responsibility for your own, like for your story, for your truth. Yeah, so really use, when you have a more challenging or difficult or hard conversation with someone, use I. Yes, use I a lot instead of you. So let's say you're gonna go and talk to your partner, to your loved one, or to someone from your family. Then you really want to say, in this relationship, I have been feeling this way. And when this is happening, I have been creating these thoughts. I have been creating these stories. And really take responsibility and ownership for your part, for your how you feel and how you perceive things and so on. And then just share truthfully that the way things have been happening or moving and so on, they don't really work for me. And I need some distance, or whatever is your request. And then say my desire or my request in the future is, and share what is your desire. Because it's very important, especially when you have a more difficult conversation, to really get clear on why do you have that conversation and what is your requirement or your desire. Do you need a break? Do you need to don't talk about something specifically because maybe that truly triggers you? Do you want to separate? Like, what is your requirement? And get very clear about that. And then knowing that when you communicate that with the other person, you are doing a favor not only to yourself for speaking your truth, but also to the other person, because you want to live a life that it's in alignment for you, for the other person, and for everyone around you. And you cannot do that if you constantly hide or pretend, or if you try to protect the other person not to get hurt. Because remember, it's not your responsibility. Everyone is responsible how they deal with their own emotions, and that's their work to do. And I feel like that's the main thing I had to share with you today. From day 5, tomorrow is my last day from level 1. Oh my god, it's been a super intense few days. A lot of processes, a lot of growth, a lot of deep inner work. And I love doing this type of work, because I know how much and how exponentially it helps me even like show up right now for you in this very moment and be this pure channel. So I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. I love you. I appreciate you. And I believe in you.